Welcome back. We are podcast by committee. You guys are our committee. Welcome back to another episode. I am Joe here with my co-hosts Graham and Logan, and we are joined by a special guest this week, the first guest we've had on this podcast, Dave Brown. Dave, tell them about yourself.
Yeah, Joe. First off, guys, thanks for having me. Being the first guest is kind of big time. I appreciate
it.
Absolutely. I'm the head coach of Central Methodist University here in Fayette, Missouri, and I've been here. I think we're almost on my 1-year anniversary now. So getting the chance to get on here and talk about our program and my background a little bit with you guys is something I'm excited to do. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for coming, Coach. We really appreciate you coming on the show and got a bunch of questions lined up for you. So hope we don't grill you too hard. But also just want to show you I've got the Central Methodist grandparent shirt on.
There we go. Love
it. Found it at Goodwill just for you. So
perfect.
Without further ado, we can hop right into the questions. So I've got the first one here. A lot of the topics of modern football conversation are centered around team culture. Like, for example, like Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions, building up them from a team that doesn't win that much, they're not used to winning, to a place that players want to go play, players want to be, and they're used to winning. They made the NFC Championship this year. So what is your goal for the culture of CMU football, both now and in the future?
Yeah, I think there's a few points that you kind of talk to. Because I think we took over a situation that's in some ways similar to, what those guys did in Detroit. I mean, we're a place that there's been some successful seasons here at Central Methodist, but it's been very up and down. So, there's some things that we really emphasize with our guys, when we look for them and when they're here. When we're looking for guys, we want to find guys that love the game of football, right? If you don't love the game of football, you're going to have a tough time succeeding at any small college, let alone small college in a small town like we're sitting in. So try to find that first. We want guys that love to compete. And we work on competition daily with what we do. And I'll talk about that with what we're doing with our spring practices here in a second. And then the third thing we're really looking for is guys that can be great teammates. I think when I got here a year ago, that was one of the first things that stood out to me was we had a group of guys playing football. We didn't necessarily have a football team. I had a lot of guys that came in. Weird little example that you don't think about unless you're in the middle of this is I get here, we have 2 weeks till spring break. I don't know these guys from anything, and I got a bunch of guys in my office asking for rides to the airport. I'm like, did you talk to your teammates about that? It didn't even occur to them to do that. Yeah. So there's when we started saying, okay, we got to do some team building. We got to build some things up. So what we're emphasizing this spring is it incorporates back to those three things. Number one, we want our guys to be professionals. And by that being where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to be doing to the best of their ability. That goes into their classes, that goes into their football. Because I believe that, being a disciplined person, being a competitor isn't something you switch on and off. So we got to train those guys to build those habits. And I think, that's starting to really take hold for us with some of the things we're emphasizing this spring. So I'm excited to see kind of the fruits of that going forward. When we talk about being a competitor, now, I'm working on our guys. Did you get better at something today? Right? Because we control that. We don't control, who we play against. We don't control what the weather is. We don't control all that. And there's, like the discipline part, there's a lot of ways to make sure you get better every day. So we talk about that all the time. And then that being a great teammate, making sure that you realize that your teammates count on you and you're counting on them. And there's got to be a level of trust there. So if we can get those things built up where our guys are where they're supposed to be, doing things right and getting better with it every day, all that stuff's going to stack together and lead to success.
Yeah, awesome. I love what you said about the group of guys versus the actual team aspect of it. I think that's important, especially for a smaller college, having that community there and getting the team together in itself to go win football games. Love that answer. That was great.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks.
So who's got the next one, guys?
I can go next. So my first question was, as a coach, you really jumped at every opportunity you got. So do you find it difficult to switch maybe allegiances to a new team at every new job?
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes it's real easy. Sometimes it's not. I've been pretty fortunate in my career that there's only been 2 times where I've had to change jobs, right? Coach retires, staff gets let go, whatever. Most of the moves I've been able to make have been choices where I'm going to the new one. And the only time it's really been hard is when I went from Fort Lewis to Colorado State Pueblo. All right. We were both in the Rocky Mountain Conference, and I didn't expect to go to Pueblo. When I was leaving Fort Lewis, it was for what I thought was a different opportunity that didn't end up working out. And so that first game, when I saw all the actual former players I had on the other sideline and all that, that was just a little awkward, a little different. I've coached at a couple schools in the MIAA and things like that, but never against former guys that I recruited or those things. And also vice versa at that job. I got to Pueblo, and the first team meeting, there's 3 or 4 guys I lost in the recruiting battle the year before. Like, yeah, you guys didn't take me again. Here we go. So that change in allegiances isn't hard, but it's the people you deal with that make things challenging at times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I totally get that.
That would be a tough meeting room to walk into with the guys.
Absolutely.
That pregame was a little different. Seeing guys, I haven't seen you guys in a few months on the other side now.
Yeah. Good answer. Logan.
So back onto the recruiting stuff. Since you have coached at so many different levels and different divisions of college football, what are the main differences in recruiting, like division to division? Yeah,
that's a really good question, and that's something that we have to talk about in recruiting, all the time. And the kind of biggest difference I explain to recruits is, the difference between your levels. A lot of people think it's size of school, and there's some things that factor into that, but it's really how much money the school wants to spend on it.
Yeah.
So you look at the NCAA level, your Division I schools, your FBS schools, they get their 85 full scholarships plus all their NIL stuff now, which is different than the last time I was at that level. But it made recruiting actually pretty easy. It's like, okay, here's the guys that check every box. If I'm looking for a quarterback, I want the 6'4" or taller kid who can run a 4.7 or faster, who has this completion percentage, whatever it is. And there's a big enough pool of guys that I can get somebody that checks every box.
Yeah.
And because of that, we can do that recruiting really early. We can have most of that class done before they're seniors and it's wrapped up and done. And you're signing, somewhere between 20 and 30 guys a year typically for the team. Sure. Whereas you come to this end of the spectrum at the NAIA level, our current signing class right now for new guys for the fall is already at 47.
Wow.
So we have to get a lot more players, number one, because of the turnover of the small scholarships. But it's also, I'm not going to get the guy that checks every box. And we tell the guys on the visit that, like, hey, you may be an inch short, a step slower, miss something academically. That does not mean you're not a great football player who can play at the college level. It just means that at those higher levels, they're going to move on. And because of that timeline, because they can get done quickly, and we have to let the dust settle to a certain extent. That's why we're still actively out recruiting guys for the class of 24. And if you don't explain that to prospects and parents early in the process, I think they get some misconceptions and miscommunications that force them into some bad choices. You offer a kid at this level, it's not a full scholarship. Right. And if a kid doesn't know that going in, they're thinking, I've got a full ride to Central Methodist. Right, we can do that occasionally. But most of the time you're not. And letting somebody down if they think they had that is a lot harder than building somebody up and talking about and being honest through the whole process. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest difference, and then obviously the other part of, at the high end, you're getting on, planes. You could be in, and now the way they're going, a lot of the high end guys, they're on the private jets. They're in 3 or 4 cities in a day. Whereas for us, we just got back. This was our big national travel time this last month. So I was in Phoenix 2 weekends ago. I was in Los Angeles last week. We had a couple coaches out in California, but we're getting out there once a year, versus, hey, I got a prospect out in LA. I'm going out and see him 3 or 4 times like I would have it at Nevada or Portland State or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a follow-up question actually. So you talked about like NIL, transfer portal, things like that. Mm-hmm. Just for example, Dante Moore, he was the UCLA quarterback. In his freshman season, he was their starter this year, and he transfers immediately after his freshman season, goes to Boise State. How do you think that type of the transfer portal, the NIL, how do you think that's affecting the college football landscape? In the past couple of years, a lot of people are talking about how they think the sport itself is unraveling, which may be a bit extreme, but how do you think it's affecting it through a lot of the large
it definitely plays a role. I mean, obviously, I think, as I've done this over the years, you have a new challenge every year in recruiting. You know, this last couple of years, it's been the portal, it's been the NIL, and really it's been the combination of the two.
Yeah.
You know, it was when the transfer portal first started, it wasn't – I think you had the same number of guys looking to transfer as you did before. But now the difference is we all had a database of who those guys were, so we could go find them. You know, I mean, used to be you would get the transfers based on, hey, I know this coach over at Mizzou. They're letting this kid go. We need to, you know, give him a call. They say he's a good guy, all those things. Yeah. And as coaches, we'd help guys out with that transfer process. But then the portal comes along, and now you still do the background on those guys, but now you know who's available. Now, when you threw the NIL on top of that and people started using that as inducements in recruiting, now you have a lot of kids that'll, you know, for lack of a better term, test the waters. They'll go in there, see how much money they can get. Quarterbacks and offensive line know that they're going to be greatly overvalued in that system. So you see a lot of those kind of guys jumping in and going. And it's created a whole new industry almost within this larger picture of personnel departments at the larger levels, of scouting services where if you as an NAIA school, we don't have access to the transfer portal. That's an NCAA entity, but we can pay a service that can get all the information on those guys, that can also give us their contact info, give us, what they think a rating and projected level is, and really help us narrow that down too, because we don't have the personnel department to go through it. So It's been an interesting change. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just what it is. It's just kind of where we're sitting. And eventually, in 5 years, there'll be something new, that we all have to adjust to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great answer. My next question kind of almost ties into that a little bit. What is the biggest lesson you learned from your first year as the Central Methodist football head coach?
Wow, another good question. You guys are on it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest lesson is there's, you prepare for being a head coach, for years. I mean, there was, one job I took years ago where I went back to the University of Nevada to be their first director of operations. Chris Alt, who I worked for there, is in the College Football Hall of Fame. And I specifically talked to him about, hey, I eventually want to be a head coach. So if I do this, if I come back and work here, I want to kind of be let behind the scenes on, what goes into it, how do I prepare? And that year and a half was really valuable for me. But even with that and going through the next couple jobs of saying, okay, I know where I want this track to go, you still can't totally prepare for all the things you deal with on a daily basis. Okay, I've managed rosters at other places. Well, now it's different with the whole roster versus just the offense. Or I've dealt with, academics and compliance, but now it's different when you're answering to the athletic director, the president, you're dealing with meeting with members of the board of trustees and, fundraising and all this. That takes up more time than you think, let alone the fact that not only do you have your position group, so I still got my quarterbacks, but then as a coordinator, I deal with the whole offense. Now I'm dealing with the whole team as well as managing the staff. So it takes up a lot more time. And a good friend of mine, mentioned he'd been head coach for a while. When I got this job, he said, hey, you'll be fine with it. You're not going to know everything. He goes, but just understand, it never turns off. You're always on call. You always have something that's probably going to need to be done. And you just got to be ready for that. And that was probably the biggest, bit of advice. Cause I said, the more I've learned about it, you can't totally be ready. You just got to make the best call you got in that moment and roll with it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool.
So then we want to jump into more about your journey, your personal journey. So we saw in one of your interviews that your father has coached high school for a long time. So how has that impacted your career as a coach?
Yeah, no, I was really fortunate growing up around football. So my father, Paul Brown, he's been a longtime high school coach in the Kansas City area. He was coaching in college when I was born. I was born up in Big Rapids, Michigan, while he was coaching at Ferris State University.
Wow.
Up that way. And then talk about different challenges with staffing and all that with college football. The year he got done as a graduate assistant was the first year the NCAA put staff size restrictions on Division I schools. So he thought he'd be going through, the college route like I've done, like actually my youngest brother has done for most of his career. But he went back home to Kansas City and got into the high school level. And, it was great for me not only just to grow up around the game and one of my favorite things as a kid was on a Saturday morning, forget staying at home watching cartoons or whatever. I got to get up in the morning, go grab some breakfast, go watch film with the guys I just watched play a game Friday night. That was the highlight of my weekend. So I got to grow up around the office and grow up around that. And then, fortunate enough to play for my dad in high school. So I got kind of this firsthand look of being immersed in all of it, seeing how he dealt with a lot of different things. And then, it set a huge foundation for, my coaching philosophy. And I think, guided me toward working for some of the people I worked for too, because I could see some similar things and how they operated and how I could build with it. So, there's not a day that goes by where that's not been really valuable for me. And sometimes, we were talking last weekend, there'd be certain things that'll happen and I'll wonder, I was like, why did other people not see this the same way I did? And he has to remind me, remember, you grew up going to games and practices all the time. You're going to see this different than everybody else around you. So, he's still a really valuable, resource for me to call and lean on and ask for advice.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
So then maybe more of a fun one here for you. So if you as a coach had to switch places with one of your players, which one would it be and why?
Yeah, this is good. I was thinking that you at least gave me some heads up on this one so I could think about it. I think there's the challenging part for me is switching places into being them right now.
Yeah.
Where could I really plug in and fit? I think if I was to trade with one of our guys right now, and it's a combination of both ways, I think it'd be Chase Rankin. Going to be a senior receiver for us. So Chase is our only returning captain. He's a guy that I know you could plug him into a leadership role, running a program, coaching a group, doing whatever. He understands the game. He could fit into my seat probably easier than I could fit into his. Just because I wasn't fast enough to be playing receiver when I went out there. But, Chase is also, a great guy, trustworthy, reliable. His teammates obviously think a lot of him being selected to our leadership council and to being a captain. And he's doing his student teaching right now and going into teaching and coaching. And I remember being a graduate assistant and having to leave coaching, teaching kindergartners at Holden High School, driving over to Warrensburg, Missouri, and having to jump out to practice. So I know Chase can jump right in and be fine with it. And I said I can find some way to be a scrappy slot receiver if I needed to be. Trade. And I'd trade places with any of these guys and go back to college. That was the best time ever. Part of coaching college football is you get to kind of still be around it a little bit.
Well, I like what you said about specifically a leader, choosing a leader, because having them, the aspect of them going into the head coach slot, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
You can't just give anybody that chair, man. Some guys just run it right in the ground, and not mean to, but they would.
Well, if you ever want to switch places with one of us too, we'd be more than happy to. But yeah, so do we have any more questions, Logan? Did you have another?
I've got one more. It's just
There we go.
one. What's your favorite sports movie? That's just a little fun one.
Ooh, favorite sports movie. I'm kind of a fan of comedies. And so I would probably say favorite sports movie might be Happy Gilmore.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
You never not watch that when it's on. That's a classic one. And if I went football movies, you go the opposite of the spectrum. I'd probably go Rudy. That's one of the that's another class when you watch that. I think almost everybody I know who's played college football can see themselves in that somewhere. So. That's always a fun one too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Good. I think that's all we got question-wise. We did have one more thing. We are going to go into one of our games on the podcast, something we like to call Hall of Fame or Hall of Lame. I'm going to give you guys the stats of a current player, and I'd like you guys to tell me if you project them in the Hall of Fame or not. So it's going to be a bit of an older guy, still in the league right now. He's a wide receiver. And so his stats, as of right now, are 904 receptions, 10,530 receiving yards. Give you a second to digest that number.
Okay.
And then 59 touchdowns.
So that's lower.
A bit lower on the touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. So, you got to think about all three of those. 904 receptions, 10,530 yards, 59 touchdowns. Will he be in
I
the
have to
Hall
think
of
how it
Fame or
compares to
Hall of
Mike.
Fame?
Was Mike Evans last week?
Mike Evans,
Mike Evans
was last week.
had
No, it was Derrick
12,000
Henry.
yards, I
Derrick
believe.
Henry was last week. But yeah,
I don't
Mike Evans was
know.
last receiver.
This is a borderline one. Can you tell
Yeah.
me if he's still in his prime? That's what we need to know.
I'm
Can you
not
give
going
us
to
that
tell you
much?
that. I'm not going to tell you that.
Dave, what do you
Because
think?
I told him
A
that last
little
week.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I
older.
told him that last week, and they guessed it without me even telling them. So can't do that again. But whoever has an answer first can shout it out.
That's one I feel like is on the line.
I chose a
That's
borderline
a
one.
that's a
If he's
borderline one.
If he's like 30, I'd give it to him. Probably
But
because
he
he's
could
going to
be
play
like-
a few more years.
Yeah, he could be a 1 year guy.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know,
Right,
that's a lot
right.
of receptions for not as many yards as you would want to see.
Sure. Also,
It
touchdowns
It is. That's a
are
lot
lower
of
than
yards.
Evans.
It is
Yeah,
a lot of
10,000.
yards.
10,000 is
10,000
kind of my benchmark where I
Yeah,
say
10,000 is kind of the benchmark where if you get there, you're pretty close to the Hall of
Mhm.
Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
59
Yeah.
touchdowns only, though, is a bit surprising
Yeah,
to me.
I don't know.
Yeah, but NFL's not as high scoring.
Yeah.
It's true.
You know.
True, yeah.
True. Yeah, I guess compared to Mike Evans, it was kind of tough to beat that. But
Right,
90,
right.
96 touchdowns, I think it was.
And Mike Evans is still going too.
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
going.
I'm gonna say no because I just think
I'm
it's an
going
old
say no.
to
player.
also say no.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
taking a risk.
I would say yes, just not first ballot.
Okay.
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 That's
That's
a fair
probably
answer.
what is going to happen, honestly.
If I were to say right now, I know the player. I would agree with you, Dave. I think not first ballot, but I think there's a solid chance of him getting in. This is Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen.
Oh, I think.
So I thought that would be a good.
He's
yeah,
still got
a good
time
borderline one.
left.
He does.
Yeah,
he does.
he's
Yeah.
definitely
One of
getting
his best
slower, but not
years.
that slow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He just had like
Yeah.
18 catches in a game last year. So
Yeah, he did.
Right.
Like 200
Yeah.
yards, I think, in a game too.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah.
And receivers can play for a long time. You
yeah,
know?
Absolutely.
especially with how he plays. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's not
Yeah.
he's not relying on his athleticism all that
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
You know.
A lot of the
I'm
routes.
surprised he
Yeah.
didn't have that many touchdowns. Like, he
I was
only
too.
had 59. He seems
Yeah,
like a
he's been
real
the
Mike
target.
Evans type
Did
player
he-
where he's targeted in the red zone a lot. I don't know.
Something I was also surprised by, I was looking at his game log, and he missed a lot more time this year than I
Oh,
thought. I
yeah.
think he missed like
Oh, yeah, he
5
was-
games down the stretch. But
Yeah.
so that's all we got for Hall of Fame or Hall of Lame. And Dave, we got one more thing for you. Just to thank you for being on the podcast, we got you a gift. You will be getting a podcast by committee
There we go.
branded hat, and printed it off this week, like our second piece of merchandise ever. So
There we go. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
yeah,
Of course.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Thanks for coming on, Dave. Really appreciate you. But that's all we got for you. So you're
All
always
right, guys.
welcome back. So
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So you guys are awesome. I said, I've done a couple of these with different guys before, and when guys are prepared, know what they're doing with all of it. Never a problem jumping on talking to you. So doors always open if you're over at our place. Stop by, say hi, all those fun things.
We would love to.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
There you go.
Thank you.
So much.
All right, guys, appreciate you.
See ya.
See ya.
After that stellar interview, we can move on into news and notes for the week. Starting off, we have some news on L'Jarius Sneed, the Chiefs corner. He was franchise tagged, and both sides are working on the extension, but he is open to pursue a trade. And then among the cuts, Alexander Madison was cut, Kevin
Shame.
Byard was cut, Marcus
shame.
Valdez-Scantling was cut, J.C.
All of
Jackson
those are
was
shame.
cut,
Oh,
and probably the biggest
no.
was Russell Wilson was cut.
No,
So
the biggest was J.C. Jackson.
correct, you're right.
True.
That's wild.
But a bunch of cap casualties. So we will remember the fallen. But
well, I don't think Russell Wilson's a cap.
Yeah. I don't think we'll have to.
I don't think he's helping the cap room there.
True.
he's helping the quarterback room. I'll tell you that.
Hey, Jared Stidham's the future.
Agreed.
Is he?
No, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get that started.
Joe Milton.
Joe Milton.
Joe Milton.
It better not be Joe Milton. You'd be lucky. And then in other news, Mike Evans has signed a 2-year, $52 million extension with the Buccaneers, locking him in for a couple more years as their wide receiver one. A
Insane.
solid extension. I thought it was good money for what he's worth. And
It's great money, man.
Yeah. Big for him. Big for that Tampa Bay offense, especially if they can bring back Baker this coming year. So that'll be big. And then a bit of sad news: Jason Kelsey has officially retired. He had his press conference today. So very, very sad. Really emotional press conference, honestly. A lot of clips I saw on TikTok, pretty sad. But
Yeah.
great career,
Everyone's-
one of the best centers of all time. So
Mhm.
cheers to you, Jason. I think that's all I have for news and notes, unless I'm missing anything. But we can move on into. You guys want to do the Weddle next?
Yeah, why not?
All right, cool.
Sure.
When we get this in one guess,
Yeah.
I'm going to start it off this week with Chris Rodriguez.
Wow.
We're gonna explain what it is.
Stud running
What if
back.
people don't know?
It's a NFL player guessing game where we do different categories: height, age, number, position, team, division. And the closer we get, the more clues we get, and then we eventually guess the player. So I started with Washington running back Chris Rodriguez. It is in the NFC, so that is our first clue. Slightly taller than 5'11". He is a lot older than 24, and his number is a lot lower than 23. So immediately I'm thinking quarterback.
Okay.
You guys have any
Kirk Cousins.
ideas?
It's Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
All right.
It is. I know.
Why not?
No, it was not.
Is it a quarterback?
No.
Hmm.
Not
No.
NFC North, not NFC
Huh.
East. His number's bigger than 8, and his age is a lot lower than 35. So, let's see.
Is it close to 8?
No. So probably something in the teens. So we could go receiver here.
Yeah.
Maybe
Cup.
it'd be a guy in his late 20s. Yeah, we could Cup.
Cup. Is Cup 30 yet?
It's not
No.
Cup, but it is a Rams wide receiver whose age is close to 30.
Okay, so it's an older guy. Who
So-
we have?
It's
Demarcus
Robinson.
DeMarcus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DeMarcus Robinson.
If this
Yep.
is
He was
that,
15, right?
that is a
DeMarcus Robinson.
wild,
15, I
easy one.
Yeah,
I know. That's a normally they're
Not
like
many
really
people know
well-known players.
DeMarcus Robinson.
That was in 4 guesses we got DeMarcus Robinson, so
That's a hard one.
good for us, guys. We can move into the hard mode, and let's start with scrolling through
Joel Batonio.
Cam Robinson. I picked Cam Robinson.
Ah,
Not an offensive player. Age is less than 28 by a lot. Number is less than 74 by a lot. He's a little shorter than 6'6", so he's pretty tall.
Okay.
Ooh.
Maybe looking at a tight end, receiver, quarterback type thing.
Lineman.
I thought what offense?
Oh, yeah,
What is
sorry, my
offense?
bad. So,
Okay. Let's go edge. I feel like it's
yeah, we go edge.
like
D
an
tackle
edge.
or edge.
Nick Bosa?
Yeah, Nick Bosa, sure.
Why not?
Like
It is not defense either. Wow. So we have a specialist.
Okay.
We have a specialist on our hands.
a 6'3" special.
Yeah, that's super
6'3",
tall
6'4".
Yeah, between 6'4" and 6'6", height wise. He is younger than 26.
Whoa.
So it's a big guy.
Dang.
Yeah.
What division or what
It's
conference?
NFC. It's NFC. So we're looking at that. And NFC. Let's get some NFC South kicker. Groupie? Bailey Groupie? Saints kicker?
I feel like he strikes me as like the 5'8", but sure.
Yeah, he's not that tall.
Good position. What good position?
Okay. It is a kicker. And they're 25 years old. Not NFC South. So it's either NFC North or East.
How old is he? What's
25.
the range we have right now? 25.
25 years old. His number is lower than 19.
25-year-old
Pretty
kicker.
young. Is it who's people that have replaced their kickers recently?
Could be Chase
Packers.
McLaughlin. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's the Packers kid?
It's,
I don't
Carlson?
know his name.
Is it Carlson?
Is it?
Anders Carlson?
Yep. Boom, Anders Carlson. Huge.
Whoa.
Boom.
That was a pull,
Dang.
bro.
4 guesses,
was a
guys.
pull. Who else? I mean,
Oof.
who else could it be? Like, who else has replaced her?
I don't know, but he's
I can't think of
6'5".
anyone.
Anders Carlson is 6'5".
I didn't even know his name,
6'5".
but now I know he's 6'5".
Wild.
6'5" is crazy for
I
a
just
kicker.
know he's awful because I
Go
remember
to the NBA.
watching.
Go to the NBA.
Yeah, be
for
yourself.
real.
What are you doing being a kicker?
Seriously.
A center, 6'5".
Yeah, I'm 6'5" center.
A couple wacky Weddles there, but we persevered, guys. Good job. I can move on to the question of the week. How much importance should be placed on 40 times? We saw Xavier Worthy run the 2-1,
I mean,
breaking the record this past week. How much do you think that should improve draft stock?
I think it's more for fun at this point.
Absolutely. I'd agree with that.
I think 10-yard splits definitely matter for a lot of positions, especially like edge rusher and everything, and receiver. I think if you're going to take a receiver and running back are the ones that 40 times mean the most for,
Yeah.
and maybe like corner. But at the end of the day, none of the combine really matters that much.
Yeah.
But it's really fun.
And it is.
That's what I
It's
think a
really
lot of people
fun.
don't understand. I think the players have fun too there.
Mhm.
It seems like so.
And it feels like watching some of these guys, like they're just not running their hardest, or they are running their hardest. Like there's just a big difference between how
And at the end
committed they
of
are.
the day,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, no one really knows anything about the draft. So just if you want to
True.
take it into account, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not affecting the NFL's draft decision.
Yeah.
You know, you can move people
Hey.
up your board.
They're listening to us. I wouldn't go and say that. They're
True.
listening.
I already had Xavier Worthy as like an early second guy. So
Yeah. I think
I love
a
Xavier
lot of
Worthy.
people are like, don't let him go to the Chiefs, please.
Oh, please.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he could be a late first guy. I think that's fair. Because he is a bit smaller, but I mean, obviously we're on a 14.
He's so small.
Tiny,
dog.
not a
He's
little
so
guy. He's
small.
165,
Yeah.
which he also
Um,
definitely put off weight to run a better time. But
He's like actually 20 pounds heavier than me. Me.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
me.
And
Like,
he's a
look at my
professional.
arms.
oh yeah, you're
guys.
tiny.
Look at my arms.
You're shredded. You are shredded. So that is
Yeah, for the
shocking.
viewers that aren't watching right now, I'm shredded.
Let's see, and then I guess we can go into that was my question of the week.
All right.
We can throw it into like just general combine stuff, just to bounce off of that. Obviously, Xavier Worthy, 4.214, fastest 40-yard dash of all time, beating out
Crazy.
John Ross, who had a 4.22.
Love the
And
kid.
then a couple guys I wrote down notes of. I thought Braden Fisk, Chop Robinson, and Dallas Turner all had really good combines.
Chop Robinson
just
went
singling them out
crazy.
individually. He had like a 4.4 or something as an edge rusher. Huge
Yeah.
guy. So.
We love Chop. We're big Chop Robinson
Oh
fans
yeah,
here.
he's gonna be great.
And then a couple Washington offensive linemen. Logan and I's guy, Roger Rosegarden, ran a 4.91, which
Yep.
is fastest of the day
Fastest.
for offensive line. So
He was
that's really
going,
exciting.
man.
He was moving. Then another Washington guy, Troy Fatanu. Really good combine overall. Was moving really well in the drills. So yeah, good for you, Troy. He's probably gonna be a first round pick as well, I'd say.
I've
Yeah,
seen him
Roger's more of
first.
a.
You think I think he might switch to guard. That's
You
what
think
I'm
so?
thinking.
Could be.
I think I
do you
might
think
have read
Roger
that,
will-
but he's also
Where do you think Roger goes?
he'll be like
then?
a third or fourth,
Second,
probably.
third?
Maybe fourth. I would say fourth. That's a deep offensive line class.
deep offensive line class.
Deep
yeah.
everything class because we're getting
Yeah,
caught up with
Besides running
COVID
back.
and besides running back.
it's a crazy
linebacker.
class.
And linebacker.
But you're
Oh my
getting-
gosh.
You're getting all those like fifth years and then your sixth and seventh year COVID year guys. So you have like a lot backloaded, and then your normal guys. And Graham's immature because I actually said 6 instead of 6.
Oh, you said a bad word. That's so
Oh.
embarrassing. You said the
What's
no-no
next,
word.
Then I wrote down a couple. I mean, unless you guys have any other combine notes.
I
Troy
thought
Franklin had a bad combine.
Yeah.
Sad.
I was stoked to
We
see
hate to
Lad
see it.
McConkey continue to be a stud. So
Mhm.
that's exciting.
He seems like a really nice kid.
Yeah,
He does.
I saw an interview with him.
that's why I like
He seems
him
like a
mostly.
really down to earth guy.
Also, his combine, everything in his combine measurables and times were like identical to Garrett Wilson, which was
Well,
crazy.
I mean, he is Garrett Wilson. Like,
Also,
better.
AD Mitchell ran a 4.35.
Oh my gosh,
which
yeah. No one's talking about it because Xavier Worthy.
was so unexpected.
But yeah,
Hmm.
he insane.
What are they?
time
What
for
is?
a
It, what are they doing at Texas?
yeah.
What are they're
Yeah,
all
seriously.
Texas. Did Texas? Everyone. Byron Murphy had a really good day,
Yeah.
Andre Sweat even.
and then,
Yeah, yeah.
Heaviness.
Andre Sweat,
Yeah.
huge. I mean, yeah. And then there was another Texas guy. I don't remember who. It was a defensive back had a good day too. I don't remember his name.
There was
but-
another offensive lineman I think that did well.
yeah, I don't know.
But Christian Jones-
Mizzou's
Christian
not.
Jones?
Mizzou's boys did not test well.
Yeah,
Well, Chris,
And they never
Abrams
do.
wasn't
They
bad.
never do.
But yeah,
Chris
Schrader
Abrams
ran
in a
40.
4.44, but like
but they're always
Schrader
in the
bad.
league,
Dude, Javon
right?
Foster ran.
Robinson, yeah, always.
Oh, Robinson was bad.
They'll be
Robinson
better.
had back.
A lot of them are battling injury because I mean,
And I mean, like,
Drinkwitz had those guys playing for
yeah, we played in the bowl game.
their
so-
life in the Cotton Bowl. The
Boom.
Cotton Bowl was the biggest game in Mizzou history. So
and we won.
I mean,
MIZ.
Rakestraw was playing with like -2 shoulders, so apparently Rakestraw was still a little hurt, and then Strader was a little banged up,
Yeah,
maybe.
banged up from previous combine stuff.
Yeah.
And also, I think a guy who ran a 4.28 or 4.29, and Nate Wiggins, who I'm a big fan of, has his stock fall.
Yeah.
Dang it, man! I always get that wrong, which is crazy because he weighed out like 173, and also apparently he did not interview well.
Brock Bowers apparently interviewed poorly as well, as a rumor. So
Okay,
Who
Brock Bowers did not.
cares? Who cares?
Also, hold on. While we're here, I'm just gonna get it out. You know, it's been very annoying me. The Caleb Williams hate has gone too far, guys.
agreed.
It's absurd.
He's such a good
I've
prospect
seen a lot
that he's
of
being scrutinized over like ridiculous things, and it just
You're getting because you've just heard about this guy for 3 years now, and now it's becoming like
a thing.
paints his nails. He can't throw a football.
Yeah,
Those
like,
two things
it's
correlate
ridiculous.
really well.
I just don't know if I like him as
I'm
a
honestly,
person as much as I used to.
I do.
But just
I
as like a
love him
football
as a
player,
person.
I mean, his interviews, he seemed like a really nice kid, and I know they're media
Yeah.
trained, but still.
He sounds just
Yeah.
like Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, he does. I saw someone say that.
His voice sounds just like him. It's crazy. But yeah. Also, I'm scouting a guy. He cries after the game. That's a plus for me, not a
Yeah, he
minus. I'm
cares.
gonna put
I don't
that
know
out
why
there.
other people were like against
I'd
him.
be stoked. I'd be like, yeah, I want that guy.
Like a Dan Campbell type guy.
It's a lose-lose because if you don't care enough after a big game, then people are gonna be
Yeah.
after you. But then he cares too much,
Yeah.
so it's like
He just loves
whatever.
football, man.
It just makes me really mad. I keep seeing TikTok with like 5 likes, and
Yeah.
they're like, Caleb Williams, hot take. He's gonna be a bust. Oh,
Oh yeah, generational talent gonna be a bust.
which he could be, you know. And I really hope he's not because I really want him to prove everyone wrong.
He's such a playmaker, man.
And he could be a really fun player, and Chicago
fact that-
deserves it.
The fact that Caleb Williams has to prove everyone wrong now is just kind of wild.
I know that's so that he's an underdog story. Just 'cause
Yeah.
prospects
he's
just
too
getting,
good.
Like still
What if he-
overblown that he's been hated on.
What if
It's
he's
he
like
hasn't even played in the
DK
league yet.
Metcalf, like he drops to the second round.
You know, I think I said there was someone crazy that someone on TikTok had him like over Caleb Williams. Michigan State. What's the Michigan State kid? Like
Quarterback?
he has like bleach hair. Yeah, I don't know.
Or is it Michael
Hold
Pratt?
on.
Tulane?
No, not Tulane.
Rocky Lombardi?
Rocky Lombardi.
Who is
Oh,
Rocky
there
Lombardi?
it
Crazy
is.
name.
But this guy. Okay,
Wild take.
come back in. Yeah, Rocky Lombardi is not going to go over Caleb Williams. He should have.
What?
Hot take.
That's the hot take.
Yeah, he
I mean, his last name's Lombardi.
He was
He's
Northern
gonna-
Illinois. That's where I know he's going to win Lombardi's probably, but
Yeah.
I had not heard of him. I will be honest. Actually, I think I have heard of him before, but I don't care.
Well, if that's all we have.
What's
for
next, Joe?
The combine.
Trivia?
We can move. Yeah, let's do trivia.
Yeah, we can do trivia. Why not?
Trivia.
Huge.
Sorry, I had to get you guys pumped. Joe searching for his first win of all time.
Of all time.
I'm excited.
And today-
I'm ready to go.
The category will be yards. How do I describe this? It's career yards of. It's not their thing, you know.
Oh,
Oh,
like
You'll
receivers
understand
rushing.
it.
I see.
It's not what. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
okay.
So let's just get right into it. Who wants to go first?
Graham's going first.
Which
Okay.
one gets the advantage? So Graham,
Yeah, I'll take the disadvantage.
how many passing yards has Randall Cobb had in his career?
Whoa. I mean, he's had a long career, per se. I mean, statistically, how many passes do? And he's the type of receiver to make a pass.
Hey, listen to-
I'm gonna go with like 36.
I'm gonna go with
Okay, Joe.
50.
Graham wins.
Dang.
This guy- Very open. I'm pretty sure he only has one attempt for.
Oh, whoa,
Maybe not
what do you
attempt.
think then?
What?
What
I'll tell you,
attempt
Joe,
for 10 yards?
This one's stupid, Joe. I tried to make it as luck. I couldn't if it's skill based, Joe. You've been proven that you will not get this.
I thought it was like if you picked a receiver with passing yards, it would be a decent
No.
number of passing yards.
Okay, he's one for 4 for 10 yards on his career. He
Oh my
completed his one
gosh.
pass in 2017.
Dang.
So that is 1
Let's just
point
move
for
on.
Graham.
Next one.
Moving on. The next one this one's more feasible. It's a lot easier. They will get wild towards the end. How many rushing yards, Joe, does Ryan Tannehill have in his career? Wow, I said that weird. Ryan Tannehill have in his career. This right here.
He's been playing for a while. And
He's a rushing threat.
He's not an immobile quarterback.
He was a receiver at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Give me. He's been playing for like 10 plus years. Probably been starting for 10 plus years. He can run. Give me 800.
Okay. Joe or Graham, what do you think?
Is he actually like 30? He's upper
32,
30.
33. I'm just guessing.
I feel like 800's way low ball there. So I'm gonna play 1,000 because I think you're too low there.
Okay. Is that locked in, Graham?
Yeah.
Joe had a ridiculous low ball. 2,103 was the number.
Dang,
Let's
actually
go.
crazy.
That's actually wild.
That is crazy.
I didn't expect
I tried
that
helping
much,
you with
but-
a former receiver, but
I knew he was a runner.
he's a
but
rushing
geez,
threat. And he's had
Louise.
some good rushing. Okay.
Hey, yeah.
Now
we
let's
know.
get crazy. This is a
Okay.
complete crapshoot
Oh.
of numbers right here. Graham, you get the receiving yards of Jeff Wilson's career. Decorated running back.
Okay, so he's 26, something like that, 27.
He's got to be older than that.
Yeah.
I already know, yeah.
I'm gonna
He's
go.
experienced. For a running back, he's getting up there.
Give me. He hasn't started that much. I'm gonna go like 1,200.
Okay.
I'm going to go
Okay. Joe, what do you think?
900.
Oh, Joe plays a little dirty, and Joe gets it.
Dang.
The number we're looking for is 566.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I way
yeah.
overshot
A
it.
little high
You
on
said
Jeff Wilson's
1,200. I was like,
receiving.
what?
I thought he was more of a
1,200 is
receiving
kind
back.
of crazy there.
He's a smaller guy.
This
He's
one
a
is-
receiving back.
In his young career, Joe,
Mm.
how many rushing yards has Kyle Pitts accumulated?
Hey, I watched one, so I know it's at least 8.
Let's go 100. 100 rushing.
Rushing yards for Kyle Pitts? Okay.
Wait, no, 90.
Graham, what do you think? No. You've locked it in.
Fine. 100.
Graham, what do you think?
There's no way, Joe. There's no way. I don't want to be mean though. I don't want to just say 90 because I know you're wrong, but there's no way he has 100 rushing yards.
I don't know. It could
This
happen.
guy gets like a jet sweep once in a blue moon.
He's been playing for like 4 years.
Give me 50.
50?
Yeah.
You guys both were a little over. I think you guys overestimated how much rushing attempts he has. in his career.
Yeah, probably
We're
so.
looking at, and I don't know what 8 you were seeing. We're looking at one attempt for -4 yards.
Whoa!
So
one
Graham's gonna
attempt?
take that one and go 3 up. Yes,
I could have sworn he had a good one.
Oh gosh.
and he had -4 yards.
That's
True.
crazy.
3-1.
So is
I
it
gotta
Joe?
reverse
No,
it.
it's
Negative.
Graham worse now.
Yeah, it's me now.
I gotta reverse it. 3-1.
This one. How many passing yards does Diami Brown have in his career?
The fact that you chose Diami Brown makes me want to.
Die. Amy Brown.
Yeah, Diami Brown.
Ah,
I get it. Is he old?
no.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Oh, he's third year. I think he's in his third year. This was his third year.
Give me 20.
20.
I'll take 11.
Joe.
I'll take 11.
Joe attempting the LeBron 3-1. He's coming back.
Nice.
Joe
Nice,
gets
nice,
it.
nice.
We're looking for 4. It was -4. We're looking for 4
I
passing
figured
yards
it was low,
on
man.
Diami Brown's career.
All right.
2 games to go. Can Graham win it in the next one? No, you're going first. Let's get nuts. How many passing yards does Tress Way have on his career?
Give me
Long-time
2.
Washington punter.
2 passing yards. No, wait, no.
2.
10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10.
10.
Locked in
Okay,
10.
okay.
Is it? Yeah. Locked in.
Wait, what position did you say you played?
You're supposed to know this.
You don't know Tress Way?
You're supposed
Did you
to know
say
this.
punter?
Yeah, long-time punter. Long-time
Okay.
punter for the Washington.
Punter?
Commanders.
I feel like this has a higher chance than Diami Brown. What did you say, Joe? 10?
Mm.
Give me 18.
18. I'm sorry, Joe.
Dang it.
Graham wins this one.
Dang.
You guys are underestimating Tress Way. He has 38 passing yards.
Hey.
He's old.
Hey,
You
Okay,
gotta
good
take
for
that in
Tress.
consideration.
good for him, man.
Dress. Are there any more?
I was hoping that we have one more. We'll just play it for fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
This is the most skillful one. This is the one I think you guys will be able to get the closest to because you guys know this player.
Mm.
Graham, how many receiving yards does Taysom Hill have? The guy who
Ooh.
does it all. Is it really out of position for him?
Mm,
He's had a long life already.
yeah.
Not too long. He had his mission. So.
True. Give me. Oh, I don't want to overshoot
Short
this.
career, long life.
I know I'm gonna say something, and Joe's face is just gonna be like,
I don't know, man. This is tough.
"Give me."
Just got this number memorized.
Okay, he's 33. 34. So he had his mission like after college, right? That's when
Yeah.
the mission is. Okay.
It was
so we're-
no before. They haven't.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Oh, before college.
So he
that's,
came in the league at like 26, 27 probably,
that's actually a big help.
I think. Because it's 4 years before college and then he went to college.
6 years.
I think I'm giving you too much help
Yeah.
for a round that
Give
doesn't
me-
matter. And Joe's just trying to.
3,000 yards.
Of receiving? Okay.
Receiving.
Lock that in.
Lock that
Joe,
in.
what do you think?
2,100.
2,100? Guys, Taysom Hill's not that good of a receiver.
Yeah,
Dang it.
Calm down,
Huge.
guys.
Redemption.
Yeah.
But he's my
The
favorite
number we're
player.
looking for is 756.
I knew it was
No.
low. I just wanted to make sure.
What?
I did play dirty. I played
It's
dirty.
not that.
I was
I had
originally going to guess
no
1,000.
He's not a
idea.
primary.
My original guess was 1,000, but I covered my tracks.
I mean,
That is
So
that's
he's
like
only
500
played.
yards a year. Is 3,000.
He's only played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's only played 7 seasons. He
well, I
didn't.
won 3 whole games. Let's go.
He didn't have any catches.
That's
That
why.
might be a new high for you, Joe. Honestly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I think.
that's your highest, man.
Let's
Still
I'm getting
lost,
better.
though.
I'm getting better.
And he's never
I
had
wouldn't
more
say
than
that.
never had more than 300 yards in a season.
We're just getting worse.
Okay, yeah, his most yards in a season was 300 though. So
Mm.
Well, good game, Graham. You deserved it. I'm getting better each week. I'm developing. I'm
Yeah.
developing.
Yeah,
So-
sure, buddy.
Yes, I am.
It's all right, bud.
This was the breakout, so I'm ready for next year.
You'll get there one day.
you'll be
But,
good, buddy.
Let's see. What do we have left?
Fun segment.
Fun segment. Yeah, let's take it off, Graham. What are we doing?
All right, so for this week's fun segment, in honor of Coach Dave Brown,
Woo!
we are making up a fictional coaching path for all of us. So, what path maybe we would hope to take, or maybe one that we just think is funny?
I'll go
So, who
first.
wants to kick us off? Joe?
I would
All
like
right,
to go
that's the
first.
first time ever
I know.
Joe's been confident.
So, in honor of Dave, I would start off. Well, not start. He didn't start off, but in honor of Dave, I would lean heavily into the NAIA sphere at first. I think,
Okay.
in the Heart of America Conference. Shout out, go Central Methodist Eagles. Yeah, I think I would establish a very unconventional style of like recruiting. I'm thinking college, by the way. I don't know if I made that clear. But I would establish a pretty unconventional style of recruiting in which we would only take offensive linemen, only offensive linemen and running backs. So, and I guess a kicker and a punter too, if you want to be that specific.
Is this your retro ball strategy? Are you doing
No.
the popular mobile game retro?
That's
We
my
can talk about
current
that
retro
another
ball
day. Is that what you're doing
strategy.
But
Yeah.
so we could just run wildcat, or the offensive lineman could do handoffs, or
Okay.
if we just want to do like little screen tosses or like crazy toss schemes, we could run that. We would always have amazing blocking, I'll tell you that, because then the offensive linemen shine in the system, so they get drafted. If I go to like a D1 school, that could be huge. And then I think I could work my way up to offensive line coach / running backs coach / run game coordinator in like a D1
mean,
school.
Yeah, because that's all you would have done.
Exactly, it's my whole
Just
experience.
that.
And then work my way up to.
What's your
maybe
dream
NFL
school
at
to
some
be a
point.
run game coordinator at?
Ooh, got to be a military school, right? Because
Gotta
that's
be.
all they do.
Yeah, that's
all
what I
I
was
do.
thinking.
That's all
Army? You think you're Army?
Or like Bama, because that'd be funny. Like that's what we're doing now, guys. Sorry, all the quarterbacks can transfer.
Wait, so you're the offensive lineman coach and you're just calling the plays? You're like, yeah, we're not doing this
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, obviously I get promoted because I'm
All
the
this
best
corner
player.
garbage, we're not doing
Because
this.
all we do is win. So also,
Yeah.
I wouldn't jump to a bigger conference for a bigger payday. Go Sun Belt if I'm like a Sun Belt coach. That's where I'm staying, and that's where we're going to establish a dynasty. Yeah, that's mine. Offensive lineman and running backs only. And
Nice. Let's get in the zone. All right, it's story time. Story time. So, day one, playing football, of course. Dad always encouraged me to do drills in the backyard, and we play catch all the time.
sure.
He also always told me, son, to win, you have to have, you guys guessed it, a positive win-loss ratio. And that's what's
True.
always been important to me.
Technically correct.
That memory always stuck with me. Since Little League, I never lost more than I had won. Yes, Little League baseball. Started off baseball. Then I moved on to football.
Thank goodness.
But-
Were you coaching the Little League?
Oh, I'm that kid.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Player coach.
I don't know. Yeah, player coach.
But now that we made it to the big leagues, my senior season in high school, and this was our time to make the playoffs. And it just so happens that we have a full NFL season as a high school because I didn't think about them only having like 10 games, so I put
perfect.
16.
Oh, okay.
So we're 8-8.
Good job, man.
So
We were
not
8-8
8-9.
last game
Oh, I see.
before the playoffs, and it's not like there's no wild card. We have to have a winning record to get in.
Mm.
It was a tough battle, man. A back and forth that never seemed to end. Then it came down to the last play, and I, the kicker, missed the 13-yard field goal, and the game-winning field goal, and ran up the field screaming and crying. I couldn't take it. I had a negative win-loss ratio. So I switched to coaching and vowed to never break my father's wish again. I rose my way through the ranks, and finally, when Mike Tomlinson was fired in the year 2073, I was hired to the Pittsburgh Steelers to continue his legacy of always going 9-8. And then we lost every game that season. So that's my goal.
That was good.
Is to become next Steelers head coach.
That's my dream.
Is it
man.
my turn now?
It is
It
your
is.
turn.
Mine's pretty simple. I call this the Steve Belichick path.
Hmm.
Okay. And basically, in this situation, my dad's just already a head coach. And yeah, exactly. That's why I have written down right here nepotism and just make enough money. Like, I don't have to be good or anything.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, I think he's good. Steve's good, okay?
Yeah.
But not me, okay? I'm just there to make money.
Okay.
It's like, obviously, like, it's like Matt Canada, way worse. Like, it's awful. And the fans are so mad. But they're like, it's his son, you know?
But it's like a small enough
I'm-
school to where they're like, Belichick's a big name. We should probably just
No,
keep
this
him.
is NFL.
Oh, this is NFL. Okay.
This is NFL. Yes.
Oh,
And I am the offensive coordinator of like a historically good. Let's think. It's a historically good. This not 49ers. My dad is Kyle Shanahan, I
Sure.
guess. You know, and I've never watched football in my life, and I think it could be fun. You know,
yeah,
I think it should happen. We need more nepotism in the NFL.
I agree.
Agreed.
Like, you know, Sean McVay's baby that was born this year.
Yeah.
yeah.
Coach.
Make him
Not
passing game
personally, but-
coordinator.
Coach right now.
Yeah.
He'd be a stud, man.
Hey,
Yeah, like
that would be
why not?
elite. I was gonna say something funny. It was gonna be funny.
I bet.
oh, that's
can't
so
just say
embarrassing.
that,
like-
It's so
You
embarrassing.
can't just say that
Oh,
and
it's
like
gonna
have
be
us
so
think it was
funny.
going to be
Everyone's gonna
funny.
laugh so hard. Well, I forgot it. But you guys would have laughed, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you think?
A
I
lot of
don't think
laughs were
so.
just missed in that. That's brutal. Oh, well, good idea, Graham. Good segment. We
you.
popped off. And
That's all right.
I think all we have left
Thanks,
is
Logan.
Keaton Mitchell update. Go Keaton Mitchell. Woo, 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 woo. We believe in you. And then real news. Last segment of the day. It's been a long day. You guys don't know that, but we do. Connection
We do.
issues.
Oh, I
boy,
forgot
we
about
do.
this.
Yeah. I think the podcast is like an hour. We're going on like an hour and a half of
Hour 40
of
minutes.
recording. So, yeah, a lot of fun. But this one real news segment comes from CBS News once again. It's a study conducted that concluded that daily affirmations help mental health overall in a positive way. My question is, does this translate to fantasy football drafts? I will draft the best quarterback. I will draft the best quarterback. I will
I
not
do
trade
that.
my wide receiver 2 weeks into the season that I believe in just because he's having a slow start. I will not get second this year again.
I think
I
so.
will not draft Broncos.
I think we should promote
quarterback
that. You
PJ
know,
McCarthy.
I will not start Gabe Davis.
hey,
Logan's whole exemption list. That could be huge. That could be huge.
I could just read off my exemption list in the mirror.
Yeah. Who you're
This
not gonna
absolutely
It'd be nice.
does not
But yeah, I think
translate
we should-
because
We should conduct a league-wide daily affirmations help session before fantasy football drafts. So everyone's
yeah, you think?
Yeah, I think
You
so.
mean with
Daily-
that church league,
Do
you're gonna
affirmations
daily
have to be
affirmations.
in the mirror?
Oh yeah.
Well, it can be. It doesn't have to be. Just talk to yourself. They have to be in the mirror. Like whatever works for you.
I thought they
yeah.
did. That's where I
Well,
always
some
do.
are. I mean,
That's
like,
where
it
all-
doesn't have to be.
I thought you were gonna say that's where I always do them.
Taking self-reflection.
Yeah, that's
to
where
the
I
most
always do
literal
mine.
sense. But
I have a
think
bad
it can be
batting
agreed.
game. I go affirm.
I just delete the franchise if I have a bad Madden game.
Yeah, that no kidding.
Truth.
Yeah, no kidding.
Joe does.
Agreed.
Joe's a rage quitter, but then he gets mad at me when I rage quit
No, you
once.
threw 5 picks today. You are done. You are done.
You were the worst receiver of all time.
We don't need to get into this.
Yeah, we
don't
don't.
need to get into
But I
this.
had to say something.
Whoa.
Anyways, it's been a historic episode on Podcast by Committee. We have had a blast despite the technical difficulties.
It's been electric.
Dave Brown, head coach of Central Methodist Football, elite guest. Loved having him on. Dave, if you're still listening, thank you again for coming on. But yeah, historic episode, guys. I hope you've had as much fun as I have. And despite the technical difficulties, it's been great. And first ever guest, looking for more. So yeah, great episode. Unless you guys have anything else, we are Podcast by Committee. You guys are our committee. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We're posting YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and share our podcast on all podcasting platforms. We are Podcast by Committee. Have a great week.
See you guys.